All right, welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I'm here to talk about the co-main event of the evening, Cutelaba versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Kennedy is 30 years old, 6'5", and he's got 83 inches of reach, compared to Cutelaba, who is 28 years old, 6'1", and he's got 75 inches of reach, giving up 8 inches. Iwan is the most intense guy in the UFC now that Diego Sanchez has left. I mean, Ewan's always screaming. He's always intense and angry and dressed like the Hulk and all that. Even though I think the last few times he hasn't been dressed like the Hulk. But my point is he's always a worthy co-main eventer because he brings it no matter what. I'd watch him and Johnny Walker fight every fucking weekend. But here he is fighting Kennedy Nzechukwu, who is not the most intense guy, but he's still a very good fighter. He's 10-3, 7 TKO victories, 3 decisions, and his 3 losses are 1-1-1. Dawood Jung knocked him out early with elbows in round 1 against the cage. Paul Craig came back with a third round triangle armbar submission, and Nego Mariano beat him by close decision. But I did think Kennedy would have outlasted him in that one, but, whatever. Cookie didn't crumble his way. He lost the decision there. Nevertheless, he was on the receiving end of a comeback loss to Paul Craig, but he also has 2 great comebacks in the UFC over Danilo Marquez and Carlos Ulberg. Got a third-round TKO over Danilo Marquez after being out-wrestled for 2 rounds, and then he TKO'd Carlos Ulberg standing, I think it was a TKO, but he dropped him against the cage and finished him after getting beaten up for a good round and a half. So I really respect Kennedy's heart, and I do think he's going to need it here because he's fighting Iwan, who is one of the biggest, what's called a front runner. This guy generally pours it all out in round 1, and that is why he's been finished. I mean, he's 16-8-1, and he's only been to a decision once. He's got some horseshit finish, but he's been finished 6 times. Twice with TKOs, both to Ankalaev, and he lost via submission 4 times, all inside the UFC, to Glover Teixeira, Misha Serkinov, Ryan Spann, and Johnny Walker. So Iwan is not the most durable guy overall in MMA, but he's even more dangerous than he is not durable. He's a very dangerous fighter, Iwan Cutelaba, and he's a violent son of a bitch. Real round 1 front runner. He's got 12 TKO victories out of his 16, and a good portion of them are in round 1, 3 of which I think come in the UFC. The best of which was against Khalil Roundtree, no doubt about it. So Iwan definitely will bring an exciting fight here. The way I see it playing out is, broadly speaking, Iwan does well early. Kennedy takes over later. I've got Kennedy winning via round 2 TKO, could be round 3. And my bets are Iwan Cutelaba wins via TKO rounds 1 and 2. You get that at really good odds, especially round 1, plus 1250 for Mr. Frontrunner. And he's fighting a guy who's been knocked out and submitted, even though the TKO bet doesn't cover submission. I don't know what the fuck I'm bringing that up for, but he was knocked out in round 1 anyway by Dawood Jung. And I bet on Kennedy Nzechukwu to win via TKO in rounds 2 and 3 at plus 550 and plus 1600. So you could see they expect this one to end early, but I think there's definitely some value on that third round TKO. And that's how I see the fight playing out, where, my pick is Kennedy. I do think Kennedy outlasts Cutelaba. I think he survives and then takes over with that 8-inch reach advantage and also what I believe to be a cardio advantage. Iwan Cutelaba, he's got cardio, but he's got to be grinding you the whole time. We've seen him go the distance and prevail in the UFC a few times, but against Kennedy Nzechukwu, I think he's going to run into trouble. Just too big and too unique of a problem to deal with when you're tired and you're susceptible to being finished, plainly speaking. So I am taking Kennedy to be the first one to TKO him outside of Ankalaev, which would be a pretty impressive feat. That's a pretty tall order. But this fight just spells chaos to me. And despite Cutelaba being not durable, he's been finished plenty of times. If I had to give any fight the nod for the candidate for the draw of the night, to get a draw at plus 6,600, this one would be the candidate. Just like Iwan Kutalaba's fight with Dustin Jacoby, he lost the last 2 rounds, but he had a 10-8 round in the first round. So I feel like in any Iwan Kutalaba fight, if he survives, there's a good chance it goes to a draw. But not counting on it, just betting on it. Kennedy Nzechukwu is the pick. I'll take him via round 2 TKO, and I really hope for my sake it happens in round 3. Alright, like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.